Alright guys, so I am almost done with this build. It is a 4BT P-pump F150 2006 crew cab. So I'll just go around the outside, tell you what I've done to it. I swapped out the rear axle, upgraded the springs to 3/4 ton. This is a Sterling 10.5. I put on airbags. These are 37s. And then got my little air fitting for the airbags. I had to do this for the e-brake. I got some Eldorado calipers over there. So we have disc brakes in the rear. Front suspension. Let's see, I got some Radflos with some dual coil springs, and then I had to build my own bump stops and limiting strap and locate those on the axle. And then I built these custom hoops out of 2x2 1/4-inch tubing. Yeah, that was fun. All right, let me grab this ladder. I guess down here first. This is also off a F350 mid-90s, Dana 60, and then I welded all my stuff to it, grinded everything off, and welded the coilover mounts, and then I built my own front suspension. At first I wanted to do a parallel 4-link, and then I decided to drill a bunch more holes and make custom brackets here and up here. So it's on both sides. So there's the 4BT right there, and then I have a Dodge adapter for an MB 4500, and then there's the MB 4500, which goes into my transfer case, which is an NP 273 off a Chevy, and I had to drill custom holes right there for it to mount up right. And then I have an aluminum drive shaft all the way down to the Sterling. And while we're here, I have this DIY fuel water separator. I made it for about I can't remember, 50 bucks or 60 bucks. Just a bunch of fittings and put that together, water separator, and the fuel filter. Okay, and I haven't hooked up my front drive line yet, still working on that. And then I have easy access to my fuel pump right here, and I could tune it pretty easy from this when I take the inner fender well out. And there's my fuel filter for it, and then I can either tune the pump from right here or up top. I probably use both when I tune it. And then I got this I had to get some custom fittings for the power steering, and then I got this this steering box is off it's off a 70s F150 or F100, but it's the power steering conversion for it, and it was pretty cheap. I think it was like 130 bucks, so not too bad. And then on 4BTswaps.com, I had a good conversation. It's actually a long thread with Dougal down in the Australia or New Zealand, I can't remember, about how to get 300 horse out of this motor. And it's 300 cc's per 1,000 shot, and I've adjusted that with the pump and with how much boost I'm getting, and making sure that it's right around the point where I haze on my exhaust and not where I have a lot of excess smoke. So I'm around 300 horse when I'm under full load, and my plumbing on this, on the air, when I first started, I didn't have my air intake was sitting right here, so right behind the radiator, and it was just feeding hot air. It was probably 180 degree air going in my intake, and I was like, oh, better fix that. So I ran it over here. So this is my air intake, and it's just a plastic shroud around this that I just cut out of a storage container, and it just isolates the air a little better. And so then I go into this turbo down here, which is an HX35, and I have the 16 centimeter exhaust housing on it, and right here the air goes in to the big turbo, and then it drops down right there, and move the ladder, it drops right here, goes down into this intercooler that I have down here, just a small one, and I have a temperature gauge right there that tells me what the temperature is right before, and then right here it goes in and then comes through and goes out right here, and then that goes up right there, and comes up right here, and then I have a boost gauge and a temperature gauge, and then goes into the HX30, and then this has got the 12 centimeter housing on it, and then it comes in here, and I get the boost after the HX30 and a temperature sensor, and it comes in the big intercooler, and I don't have my AC condenser on yet, and then it comes out right here, and then I have a temperature sense on right before it goes in the intake, and then I have my boost sensor for the intake manifold, and so that tells me how efficient each of these things are working. The first turbo, first intercooler, second turbo, second intercooler. how efficiently they're working and how much work they're doing and what the boost is before and after. And I can see what my boost losses are and all that. So that's been very insightful. And really it does really well with this setup. I have a 12 centimeter housing for the HX35 that I want to swap out. Yeah, well, there's the intake temperature for the intake at the beginning, so there's that. And then on the exhaust side, I have my EGT probe, comes down right there, and I also have my exhaust pressure, which comes into this coil right here, right there. And so I can see what my exhaust pressure is and what my EGTs are. I also have this right here is a 3-core radiator. I was using the radiator off the F150 for a while, and it just would get too hot, wouldn't cool down enough, even with 2 fans on it. So I upgraded to this bad boy, and I also installed the filter for the coolant. And so it's plumbed right here into this goes to the heater core for the heat on the inside, and it comes down into the filter and then goes out right here, connects right here into my overflow, and that comes from the overflow on the radiator. My spare battery, it died, so took it out, but I'm running dual batteries here. Right up here, I have this solenoid. I basically had to just find a way to make it so when the key ignition goes to the on position, that this solenoid fires and lights up this fuse box. And so this fuse box also powers these relays right here, which go to my fuel shutoff solenoid. One activates it, one keeps it on. And yeah, and then I also have a vacuum pump, which I mounted right here. This is my power steering fluid. I just built an aluminum plate for it. And so my vacuum is hooked up to my vacuum boosted brakes. Let's see, what else do I have in here? I have my AC unit down there. I haven't connected it yet because, as you can see, my condenser's not here, but that's in the works. Hopefully I can get around to that. Also, that is my, I think my regulator for my alternator. Make sure it charges everything when the vehicle's running. And I think that's it for in here. Okay, so I had to drill a hole in the floor so I can stick my shifter through. So I did that. Still got a bunch of wires hanging out right here because I'm running everything on just a little Arduino. And this Arduino powers my little gauge here, and that tells me my RPMs and my boost and all that. My boost after each intercooler and turbo and all that stuff. And this gauge tells me my overall boost on the intake manifold, my EGTs, and my water temperature, my coolant. And this gauge cluster doesn't work. I haven't hooked anything up to it. I was planning on just using a 10-inch screen and running just a little computer on a Raspberry Pi and having all my stuff on there, and just build a digital dash. I was halfway through that, and then I lost the program that I was using because it took me forever, and then now I have to rebuild it. So I have to rewrite that program. The fuel gauge works, so I can see how much fuel I have. And yeah, I just got a button up underneath the dash, but it's pretty clean in here, and it's fun to drive. Yeah. Ugh. Let's see, the most boost I've got on this so far was like 52 pounds of boost, and that was at like 2,500 RPM. And needless to say, that was cooking pretty fast. Seat of your pants feel was great. But I don't want to blow head gasket or anything like that. Oh, one other thing is, while I'm here, I have head studs on this. So if I wanted to go over 50 pounds of boost, I probably, just to feel safe, I would have put in O-rings or fire rings, but I don't plan on going over 50. I like 40. 40 is pretty safe for me, and it feels great. I mean, getting on the freeway is fun. Yeah. Let me know if you guys have any questions. And yeah, it's a fun build.